So let's start. Today we are going to do Python Essentials 1 Module 2. In this module, you are going to deal with data types, variables, basic input-output operation, and basic operation. In this module, by the end of this module, you're supposed to know how to write and run simple Python programs, what Python literals, operators, and expressions are, what variables are, and what are they used, what are the rules that are used to govern them, and how to perform basic input-output operations. So before we go on, Faith, did you manage to install the Jupyter Notebook? Faith, did you?
Not really. I haven't managed to install it.
Did you have?
I was getting an error when I tried it. So I said I'll try it again tonight and check some videos from YouTube for guidance.
What error?
So saying the DPKG something. Let me.
You could have please screenshot that error and send it
Check
to me, and then I'll see how to help you. Okay. Let's go on. So we are going to start with Hello World. Hello World is the most basic code. All of us have done programming here, so we know Hello World is the beginner of any code, of any programming language you want to write code in. It's time to start writing some real working Python code. It will be very simple for the time being. So here, if we run this, you remember the function print? We used it in our last class to print an output on the console. And then this is a string. And then hello world. This is just a string. It is separated by this. So that shows it's a string. We can try and run the code and see what it will print in the console. As you can see here, it has printed for us hello world. This is the simplest code in Python. This is if you are a beginner, you are advised to start with printing hello world. So if you can print hello world, then you can code. Yes. Let's move on. Okay, so the print function is used to display something. If you have a program and you want it to display something, you put it inside the print function and it will display what you want it to display. The word print that you can see here is a function name. That doesn't mean that wherever the word appears, it is always a function name. It means that the word comes from the context in which the word has been used. So it depends where the word is used, but it is mostly used to display output. Sorry. Python functions, however, you've probably encountered the term functions many times before during math classes. If you have done Excel, you will know we will encounter the word function. If you have done mathematics, you also know what a function is. Python functions, however, are more flexible and can contain more content than their mathematical siblings. So a Python function is more flexible as compared to a mathematical function. They are very different. When we use them, you will notice that Python functions have more functionalities as compared to mathematical functions. A function in this context is a separate part of the computer code able to, one, cause some effect, e.g. send text to the terminal, create a file, draw an image, play a sound, etc. So a function can be used to cause an effect, like the function that we have seen. It has printed hello world. It is print hello world. It has displayed the hello world in the console. To evaluate a value, e.g. the square root of a value or the length of a given text. If we go on, you will meet the math library, which is used to get square roots. You can use that function to get the square root of a number. It's a library that contains the square root function in it. So you can print the square root of a function and it will display. For example, you have 81 and you want to get the square root of 81. You can write print square root 81 and it will display 9. A function also is used to display the length of items. For example, you have a list and you want to display its length. You want to know how many items are in the list. You will use a function to do that. Moreover, many of Python functions can do the above two things together. So many of those functions can do the above two things together. Where do functions come from? They come from Python itself. The print function is one of these kinds, such a function is added value received together with Python and its environment. So we can say that some functions are inbuilt in Python. They are built in, they come with Python. When you install Python, you also get those functions. Two, they may come from one or more of Python's add-on named modules. For example, if you do AI, you will get a library known as TensorFlow. There are some functions that come after you install TensorFlow. So that is an example of function that comes from Python add-ons. Another one is you can write them yourself. There are functions that you can write them yourself. For example, a function that is used to add two numbers. That is a function that you yourself can write. The name of the function should be significant. Of course, if you're going to make use of an already existing function, you have no influence on its name. So for example, you are writing the name of a function, or you are writing a function yourself. You are the one who is going to name it. But if you are using an inbuilt function, the name is already defined for you. For example, this print name is constant. It does not change. But if this was your own function, you could change that name. So as we said before, a function may have an effect or a result. An example of a function that has an effect is adding two numbers. That is a function that has an effect. Finding the square root of a number, that is an action that has an effect. Or drawing a circle or drawing a rectangle or a triangle, that is an example of a function that has an effect. An example of a function that has a result is like print hello world. That is a function that gives the result hello world, or count the number of items in a list. That is an example of a function that carries a result. Mathematical functions usually take one argument. Examples in X takes an X, which is the measure of an angle. So mathematical functions take an argument. For example, square root. It will take an argument, what the number that you want to find the square root of. For example, 81. So 81 is the argument. Python functions, on the other hand, are more versatile depending on the individual needs. They may accept any number of arguments, as many as necessary to perform their tasks. Note, any number includes 0. Some Python functions don't need an argument. So in Python, it is different. Sometimes you may need an argument, sometimes you may not need an argument. In spite of the number of the needed arguments, Python functions strongly demand the presence of a pair of parentheses. So Python functions have parentheses. For example, here, print, you can see a parenthesis here and here. It opens and closes. So whenever you write a function, you should also write parentheses. If you don't, Python will throw an error. If you want to deliver one or more arguments to a function, you place them inside the parentheses. So if you want to deliver arguments, for example, here there is sin, and then the X is the argument. You place them inside the parentheses. As you can see, X has been placed inside the parentheses. Note, to distinguish ordinary words from function names, place a pair of empty parentheses. after their names, even if their corresponding function wants one or more arguments. This is a standard convention. So if for you to distinguish an ordinary word from a function, you should place parentheses on them, like this here, print, and then after that, there is a pair of parentheses, an opening and closing parentheses. Does the print function in our example have any arguments? Of course it does. So print function has an argument. Let's see what the arguments are. Here, for example, here the hello world, these are the arguments of the print function. We can say the print function's arguments are arguments that you want printed out. For example, here we wanted hello world printed out. So that was the argument of our function. As you can see, the string is delimited with quotes. So as you can see here, hello world is inside opening and closing quotation marks. This shows that this is a string. The function name print in this case, along with its parentheses and arguments, forms the function invocation. So there is something called function invocation. This is a way to call the function. For example, you have written a function that adds two numbers. For that function to add the two numbers, you need to invoke it, you need to call it. So here, print is just a way to call that function so that it prints or it outputs whatever you want to be outputted. So here is how you invoke a Python function. You write the function name and then the argument that the function takes. If the function does not take any argument, all you need to do is write the function name and then the parentheses, the opening and closing parentheses. Okay, let's see how this works. First, Python checks if the name specified is legal. It checks if the name of the function exists. It browses its internal data in order to find an existing function name. It searches, and if this search fails, Python aborts the code. So if Python searches your memory and does not find the name of the function, it throws an error. It says that the name of the function is not defined. Second, Python checks if the function's requirements for the number of arguments allows you to invoke the function in this way. So it checks if you have invoked the function correctly. For example, if the function allows you to have one argument and you pass in two arguments, Python is going to give you an error and tell you that you have invoked a lot of parameters and you're supposed to invoke only one parameter. Third, Python leaves your code for a moment and jumps into the function you want to invoke. Of course, it takes your arguments too and passes it to the function. So if you have invoked the function correctly, Python takes the argument and passes it to your function. If your function adds two numbers, let's say your function adds two numbers, and then you invoke your Python with 2 plus 2, with 2 and 2. Python will take that 2 and 2 and take it back to the function and then add 2 and 2. 4, the function executes its code, causes the desired effect, if any, evaluates the desired results, if any, and finishes its tasks. So after Python sends 2 and 2 to your function, it executes the function, it adds that function. Okay, it adds the two numbers. And then finally, Python returns to your code. It gives you an answer. If the answer was to add, if the function was supposed to add numbers, it gives you 4. For example, in our example, 2 plus 2, it gives you 4 as your answer. That's how functions are executed. So let me see if Kwame, can you hear me?
Yes.
Do you have Jupyter Notebook installed?
No, actually, I have a problem with my laptop, a software issue. It's not working.
Okay.
I'm actually using my phone for a
Okay.
lesson right now.
Okay, so fine. We are going to do practicals. I wanted you to do a practical, but since you don't have it, we can just do it here. So,
Hi, Yvonne.
yes.
I'm still trying to struggle with the Jupyter because I wanted to see if I can follow along with what you're doing, but it keeps giving me a syntax error. So I don't know if you can help me or I'll have to wait for the class to end.
Kindly send me the screenshot your error and send me to my WhatsApp inbox, and then I'll see if I can help you because I'm supposed to be teaching you currently. But
Okay.
maybe after the class, we can figure it out. Okay?
Okay.
Okay. So here, we are going to use the print function. This is our first lab. So use the print function to print hello Python in the screen. So since I am the one who's doing this, I want you to guide me on how to do it. Or since all of you have logged into this, you can do it. I want someone else to share their screen and go to where we are and someone to do this lab. Who will do it? If one does it here, the next one will do it in the other lab that we will meet because there are many. Okay, Faith, please share your screen and then log into Python Institute and then print Hello Python. Kindly.
You're saying I should share my screen?
Yes, I want you to first log in to your Python modules and then go to where we are. And then after you are there, you tell me to stop sharing so that you can share your screen. And then you will do this practical of printing Hello Python. Is that okay with you?
Yeah, that's okay. Let me find where we are.
Okay. We are in module 2. You are through. I stop sharing.
Wait a minute. Let me see your screen so that I can know exactly where we are.
Yes, we are module 2, 10%. We've covered 10% of module 2.
Wait. Okay, so what should I do?
Okay, let me stop sharing. Then you share your screen, and then you do that exercise that is there. That one for using the print function.
I don't think I can see it.
You say share screen. You can't see it. Okay, just share your screen and then I'll guide you on where we are. Can you see the green button written share screen?
Yep.
Okay. If you are ready, kindly share your screen and then I'll just guide you on where we are. Yes, there. Now, just click next. Again. 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 Okay, again.
Again?
Yes, again.
Okay.
Yes, there. Now,
Okay, so Mhm.
I want you to try and print Hello Python. Try it first and see if we can do it. Okay, run it.
Yep.
Yes, so we have done the first one. Now remove the Hello Python and try running the print and let's see what it's going to do. I have honestly never tried that. Let's try it.
What should I do?
Remove whatever is inside the parentheses.
That?
Yes, even the quotation marks, remove them.
I don't see anything happening.
Run again. Yes, so nothing happens when you run the print function. Okay,
Yep.
thank you for sharing your screen. That was all.
So I can stop sharing, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, let me share mine. Okay, I hope all of you can see it. Now we have done the first lab. Let's go on. So the print function, the three important questions have to be answered as soon as possible. Number one, what is the effect the print function causes? So the effect of a function is very important. And what did the print function did? It displayed whatever you gave it to display. The effect is very useful and very spectacular. The function takes its arguments, convert them into human readable form if needed, and sends the resulting data to the output device. As we have said, the print function just outputs what you give it. What arguments does print expect? Any. We'll show you soon that print function is able to operate with virtually all data types offered by Python, that is string, numbers, characters, logic, values, objects. So the print function accepts any arguments. If we have passed a string and it has output a string, if you pass an integer, it will output an integer. Same to a float, same to a boolean. What value does Python function return? None. Its effect is enough. So we have seen that if you use the print function alone, it won't give you anything. Yes. Okay. So the print function instruction, sorry, I was a little bit sick over the weekend. Apologies. You have already seen a computer program that contains one function invocation. A function invocation is one of many possible kinds of Python instructions. Of course, any complex program usually contains many more instructions than one. This question is, how do you couple more than one instruction into Python code? So, how do you make Python code run more than one instruction? Python syntax is quite specific in this area. Unlike most programming languages, Python requires that there cannot be more than one instruction in a line. So Python requires that you cannot give it more than one instruction in a line. For example, you wanted to print 2 sentences. If you wanted to print 2 sentences in different lines, you have to use the print function twice. Otherwise, they will be printed in one line. As you can see here, note, okay, One line can be empty, but it must not contain 2 or 3 or more instructions. This is strictly prohibited. Note, Python makes one exception to this rule. It allows one instruction to spread across more than one line. So as you can see here, we want to print the itsy bitsy spider climbed up the water spout, and then we want to print down came the rain and washed the spider out. So if we want to print them in 2 different lines, we can use print and print the way it is written here. And then we run our code. As you can see, it has given us the output. If let's say if we don't do this and do this instead, as you can see here, it has printed it in one line. This is what it means. You cannot give Python an instruction to print 2 different lines. If you have 2 different instructions, you have to write print twice. Like that. So, print function instructions, we've changed a little bit. In this example, we want to print the 2 lines, but we want to print space in between the 2 lines. So here, the first line, the itsy bitsy spider climbed out the water spout, and then there's this print function which is empty, and then there's the other print function, down came the rain and washed the spider out. When we run this, we see that there is space here. So this is what this empty print does. It just prints space. As you can see, it has printed space. So there is something known as escape characters. For example, you want to write 2 lines, but you don't want to use the print function again and again and again. You can use this \n. This is an escape character. So when we use \n, whatever is after the \n is printed on a new line, as we can see here. You see the itsy bitsy spider here, and then there was a \n and then climbed up the water spout. So climbed up the water spout has gone to a different line, and then down came the rain, and then there is a \n and washed the spider out. So whatever that has come after the \n has been printed on the next line. So if you don't want to use many print functions, you can also use this escape character, the \n. So the print function, the escape to the new line characters. If you want to put just one \, inside a string, don't forget its escape nature. You have to double it, e.g. such invocation will cause an error. So if you do this, it will cause an error. Let's try and run this and see. Let's run this and see if what error it will give us. Sorry about that. Yes, it has given us an error. It means there is an end of line. Sorry. I'm sorry about that. So as you can see here, Python has given us an error. It has told us a syntax error, end of line, while scanning string literal. So because this is an escape character, you can't use it. If you want to write a backslash, you should write two. Should write two of them like that. As you can see, it has printed the backslash here. Yeah, so that was the example. Not all escape pairs means something. That means that here, the first backslash is for escape, but the second backslash is for printing a backslash, as we can see here. Okay. So a backslash coupled with something else means something. So the print function using multiple arguments. For example, you have multiple arguments that you want to print out. You're going to use this. Let's do this example and then we can move on. So for example, you have three strings that you want to concatenate or join together. This is what you do. This is what you do. You have the first string here, then there is a comma, then the second string there, then there is a comma, then the third string there. So you separate your arguments with commas. For example, the itsy bitsy spider, that is one string, and then it is separated by a comma. Climbed up is another string separated by a comma. The water sprout is the last string. Let us run and see what it will output. It has joined them all together. It has joined them together.